Hello, everyone. Good evening to this session by Supergrads Top Rankers, in which we shall be discussing language comprehension section for CMAT 2024. So, dear students, you must be completely immersed in studies now. And in this section, which is the number one part of the series, we'll be discussing about the syllabus and also some tips and tricks to solve unseen passages. So, let's start. As you can see, the syllabus comprises reading comprehension and items of grammar and some items of language vocabulary, sentences, spot correction, spot the difference, find out the mistakes, and idioms and phrases, tenses, foreign language words. So you have to have a command on the English language, isn't it? Then there will be reading comprehensions. There may be two or three reading comprehensions depending upon the paper. It varies from year to year. And generally, out of these 20 questions, you have four or five questions from unseen passages. And it may vary also, as I said, it may be more also this year. Yeah. So now each correct answer will give you 4 marks. And for any answer which you have not attempted, there is no negative marking. But yes, if you attempt an answer and it goes wrong, then definitely your 1 mark will be deducted. So be prepared for all these important topics of grammar. And now comes the most important thing which is related to this exam, that is reading. Now, many students keep asking me, ma'am, reading को कैसे बढ़ाएं? Reading को कैसे develop करें? Now, I have some tips to share with you. सबसे पहले तो न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग की आदत बना लें. Make it a daily habit. At least 10-20 minutes you should devote to newspaper reading. Now, to this, some students ask me, ma'am, कुछ समझ में ही नहीं आता. How do I go about it? Flow ही नहीं बनता. पढ़ने बैठते हैं so some words become so obscure and difficult कि मीनिंग ही नहीं समझ में आता. That's quite natural, dear students. ये होगा. मीनिंग हो सकता है आपको नहीं समझ में आए. उसके लिए एक टिप है. सभी लोग टीवी देखते हैं. Now make it a habit to watch the news bulletin in Hindi or any other language which you understand. ठीक है? Then what happens? After 10 minutes, the same bulletin will be repeated. Maybe after 15 minutes. वही न्यूज आइटम जब इंग्लिश में आ रहा हो तब आप उसको ध्यान से देखिए. So now by the time what happens, you are aware about the context, you are aware about the events, you are aware about the happenings, which are being targeted, which are being focused. आपके सामने पूरा नजरिया आपके दिमाग में जो है खाका खिंच चुका है. Now only thing is when you watch the same item with news with language in English, so what happens, you are able to relate. आपको समझ में आता है. ठीक है, क्योंकि आप वही चीज पहले पढ़ चुके हैं, देख चुके हैं, सुन चुके हैं. एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंस, यू गेट टू अंडरस्टैंड, अच्छा इस वर्ड को ये बोलते हैं, इस फ्रेज का ये मीनिंग है. ओके. एंड देन धीरे धीरे आप समझने लगेंगे कि इसके इंग्लिश वर्ड्स क्या यूज होते हैं न्यूज में, करंट अफेयर्स को कैसे पढ़ना चाहिए. कमिंग टू टिप नंबर 2. सेकंड टिप क्या है, जो भी आपने पढ़ा, देखा, सुना, ठीक है, लिखा नहीं है ना, यस, दैट्स द ट्रिक. यू प्रिपेयर योर ओन नोट्स. टेक एनी टॉपिक ऑफ योर चॉइस, जो भी आपने दिन भर में न्यूज देखा विच इंटरेस्ट यू, ओके, विथ विच यू फाइंड एन एफिनिटी, जिसके साथ आप अपना जुड़ाव महसूस करते हैं. राइट इट डाउन इन सम 100 to 150 वर्ड्स इन द बिगिनिंग. ठीक है, उसको लिख के देखिए. देन कंपेयर इट. ओके, ट्राई टू रिकॉर्ड दैट न्यूज आइटम, या बार बार भी रिपीट होता है. एंड देन अगेन यू गो बैक एंड मैच. आप देखिए क्या डिफरेंस आ रहा है, वो कौन से टर्म्स हैं, वो कौन से वर्ड्स हैं जो आप पिछली बार यूज नहीं कर पाए. एंड देन रीराइट इट. ओके, इट इज अ लिटिल daunting, थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट है, बट इट इज अ tried and tested tip, my dear students. If you want to be leaders, you must be readers, because the readers are the leaders and the leaders rule the world. Okay, so now coming to our own session, which is being focused on reading comprehension, I would like to take you through some reading comprehensions and how to read them also. So be with me Pay attention and keep your notepad ready. So here we go. This is the first passage. I would like you to read it. I will read it for you first so that you understand how to read. Yes, that is very important. I'll explain to you how to read. And endangered language is one that is likely to become extinct in the near future. Likely to become extinct. See the topic sentence, the first sentence. An endangered language is one that is likely to become extinct in the near future. Many languages are falling out of use. Falling out of use. They are not being used regularly. अब उनका use खत्म हो चुका है and being replaced by others that are more widely used in the region or nation, such as English in the US or Spanish in Mexico. Unless current trends are reversed, these endangered languages will become extinct within the next century. आपने देखा मैं कैसे पढ़ रही हूँ? I am reading, that phrase or that particular group of words which I can see in one eye span. Eye span. एक बार हर word को अलग-अलग नहीं पढ़ना है, ठीक है? A group of words is to be read in continuation, तो meaning clear होगा. Within the next century. Next. Many other languages are no longer being learned by new generations of children or by new adult speakers. These languages will become extinct when their last speaker dies. In fact, dozens of languages today have only one native speaker. What is native? नेटिव मीन्स बिलोंगिंग टू दैट पर्टिकुलर कंट्री, देशी है ना, हम कहते हैं ना ये तो वहां की नेटिव चीज है, ये तो वहां की नेटिव पैदाइश है या प्लांट है, दैट इज कॉल्ड still living, and that person's death will mean the extinction of the language. So now we have basically understood what is the paragraph or the passage about. It is talking about endangered languages. Just as you might have read, आपने पढ़ा है स्कूल की किताबों में भी कि कुछ ऐसी प्रजातियां हैं जो विलुप्त होती जा रही हैं. Similarly, language is also getting extinct. Why? Because it is no longer being used. उसको कोई बोलने वाला नहीं है, कोई पढ़ने वाला नहीं है. So ultimately what will happen? There'll be nobody who will be able to read it, nobody who will be able to speak it, and then finally that language will become dead language, right? And that person's death will mean the extinction of the language. It will no longer be spoken or known by anyone. So are we clear so far? Next, ancient Greek and Latin languages are considered dead because they are no longer spoken in the form in which we find them in ancient writings. Ancient writings बहुत पहले की जो writings थी, जो हमारे शास्त्र थे या जो पुराने जमाने में चीजें लिखी गई थी, वो writings तो अब है ही नहीं, वो language तो अब कहीं है ही नहीं. But they weren't abruptly replaced by other languages. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो abruptly replace हुए. What is the meaning of abrupt? अचानक से, suddenly language कोई dead नहीं होती है. It takes a lot of time when it has to go into extinction or oblivion, जब वो हमारी नजरों से दिमाग से दूर हो जाए. And it was not replaced by other languages. Instead, now see, look at the transition. Instead, अलग बात हो रही है ना, पहले कुछ और बात हो रही थी, now something opposite is being explained. देखिए, ancient Greek slowly evolved into modern Greek. Evolving means development, विस्तार, बढ़ना है ना, बढ़ना, evolve होना मतलब progress होना, into modern Greek. तो जो ancient Greek थी, ancient मतलब पुराना, modern मतलब नया. Ancient Greek has changed into modern Greek. And Latin slowly evolved into modern Italian, Spanish, French, Romanian and other languages. So Latin जो language है उसने कितनी और languages को जन्म दिया? देखिए, Italian, Spanish, French, Romanian and other languages. In the same way, the Middle English of Chaucer's day. Now, who is this Chaucer? Chaucer is the father of English literature or English poetry. Chaucer is the father of English literature. Is no longer spoken, but it has evolved into modern इंग्लिश। अब वो इंग्लिश तो कोई नहीं बोलता है, बट इट हैज बीन नाउ चेंज, इवॉल्व, है ना, इवोल्यूशन होता है, चेंजेस आते हैं, सो दैट नाउ द ओल्ड वर्ड्स आर बीइंग रिप्लेस्ड बाय न्यू वर्ड्स। ओके, so now I'll you can pause the video and you can go back and you can also read, but I have brought a technique. What I have done is, you will be finding in my next slide the passage along with the questions. So I step aside for a few seconds so that you can have a glimpse of the questions. So you find these are all multiple choice questions. You have to take one answer, which is the correct option. This is a passage again. This is the same passage here. And on this right hand side, you find three questions which have been asked. What is endangered language? Yes. Shall I give you 2 or 3 seconds to answer this question? ये आंसर हमें कहाँ से मिला? What is endangered language? Look at the options. The language that is spoken by many people. Many people? क्या हमने ये पढ़ा था पैसेज में, जो बहुत लोग बोल रहे हैं? No. A language, the language that is not spoken by anyone at all. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट देख लेते हैं. A language that is most likely to die in the near future. Likely to die मतलब probability है that it will not be spoken or written or read anymore in the coming days. Near future मतलब coming days. Last, a language that is most likely to expand in the near future. Expand मतलब बढ़ना. So now you can clearly see what might be the answer. बताइए. Yes, the language that is not spoken by anyone at all, right? Now look at the second question. These languages will become extinct. Now this sentence has been taken from the passage itself. Okay, look at the passage, you will find this. कहाँ है बताइए? These languages will become extinct. See, it has come in the first paragraph. These languages will become extinct. In the above sentence, these refers to, these किसके लिए बारे में बात की जा रही है? These refers to Spanish in Mexico, endangered languages, Middle English, other languages. So it is very clearly seen in the above sentence. What is the answer? What is the answer, dear students? Endangered languages. Option B is the answer. Similarly, now look at the third question. Spanish language evolved out of. Evolve कहाँ से आई? कहाँ से वो आगे बढ़ी? From which language it came? Can you find the answer? I'll give you a hint. This answer is in the second paragraph of the passage. Look at the options. English, Greek, Latin, French. I give you 2 seconds. Read the passage, read the second paragraph, and try to find out the answer. I give you a hint. Look at this. And Latin slowly evolved into modern Italian, Spanish, French, Romanian. This is what is the question is asking. Spanish language and from where it has come? Latin. Latin में से कौन सी जो languages आई उसमें से एक option है Spanish. So what happens? You are able to read the passage and you are able to see the questions also. Now there are students who first like to read the questions. There are some students who first like to read the passage. My suggestion is read the passage and then slowly go to the questions. And then since you have read, you know what you have read, you have underlined important words and phrases, तो आपको ये ध्यान है, ठीक है, सोच सकते हो आप कि probable questions क्या बन सकते हैं, ठीक है, क्या questions इसमें से बनने चाहिए, ठीक है, and once you have seen the questions, you can go back to that particular part, that particular portion of the passage जिसमें से आपको आंसर मिल सकता है, ठीक है. So in this way what will happen, you will be able to come to the correct answer option, ठीक है. और पे अटेंशन टू दीज ट्रांजिशन वर्ड्स ऑल्सो, जिसमें से एक बात जो है वो सडनली चेंज हो जाती है. पहले राइटर हमें कुछ पॉजिटिव बताना चाह रहा है and then he changes, he or she, whosoever it may be. ठीक है, वहां पर ध्यान दीजिए कि बताना क्या चाह रहा है, right? So you will be able to answer. So the words also, my students, my dear students, try to understand the words which have been used. Okay, I can see there are a few students. Yes. Good evening. Good evening, Kirti. Good evening, Kunal. Yes. Thank you. Such clear explanation. It is your effort. If you pay attention, if you attend the lecture, the explanation is very clear. Okay. Good evening, Kavita. Good evening, Vasubali. Erudition of maths. Very nice. Good. I would have appreciated if it had appeared through your name. चलिए कोई बात नहीं. I'll call you by the name erudition of maths. Very nice. So are we clear so far? My suggestion is afterwards you pause the video, go back to the slides once again and see how the questions are being asked and how the answers we have to come, how we have to approach the answers. Now shall we go to the next passage? This is the next passage. Now, this has also been taken from a previous year CMAT paper, dear students, so that you have an idea. You have a fair idea of the level of the passages and the language which is being used. But I would like to repeat my suggestion: reading, because reading gives you in-depth knowledge about many different words. नए नए वर्ड्स आपको समझ में आते हैं रीडिंग करने से, है ना? एंड मोर सो व्हेन दे आर इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट. चलिए नेक्स्ट पैसेज की तरफ चलते हैं. Read the given passage again. So now this is a very small passage. It doesn't matter. The passage can comprise one paragraph. It can, be divided into three or four paragraphs also. It depends. I already said in the beginning. Next passage. Now I want you to first read it. So I step aside. Then together we shall read. And in the next slide, I'll be showing you the options and their questions. I mean the questions and the answers as well. Okay. So I take you to the next slide so that can view the questions also. And I read along with you. Pay attention to the reading. Few doctors have any time for the study of philosophy. Few doctors have any time for the study of philosophy, for their profession is an exacting one. What is the meaning of exacting? Demanding. Doctors का profession demanding होता है, उनके पास time की कमी होती है. And it is all they can do to keep abreast of its advances. To keep abreast of means it's an idiomatic phrase which means to be aware of, to be updated, है ना? Update रहना, that is to keep abreast of. अपने field के बारे में जानकारी बहुत लोग रखते हैं, ठीक है? So they are keeping themselves abreast of the advances. Advances मतलब progress. उसमें क्या क्या नए नए विचार आ रहे हैं. What is true of medical science is also true of the whole civilized world. Men at present are so engrossed in their various occupations. Engrossed, totally occupied. What is the meaning of engrossed? Totally occupied. Busy हैं बहुत ज़्यादा in their various occupations, in manufacturing goods. Different occupations हैं in buying and selling, in accumulating wealth. What is accumulating? जमा करना, to pile up, है ना? Accumulating means जमा करना. Or in struggling merely to maintain themselves, struggling. वो बहुत जद्दोजहद कर रहे हैं सिर्फ अपने आप को मेंटेन करने के लिए. Merely मतलब only, सिर्फ. Okay. To maintain themselves, that they have no time left to wonder what living is all about. Kind of philosophical touch है ना, थोड़ा सा. कोई बात नहीं, but I'm sure you will be able to ace this as well. Now look at the questions. The expression, it is all they can do, in the first sentence conveys the idea of all that. It is all they can do. कहाँ लिखा है देखो, ये है. It is all they can do. वो इतना ही कर सकते हैं. कितना कर सकते हैं? Now what are the different options? Let us explore. Doctors can manage to do. Not clear. क्या बात हो रही है? Philosophers say is good for man. This is also out of focus, out of context. Doctors are expected to do. बताइए, डॉक्टर्स आर एक्सपेक्टेड टू डू, क्या एक्सपेक्टेशन है डॉक्टर्स में से? पीपल टुडे आर विलिंग टू डू, पीपल टुडे, पीपल की बात हो रही है, पीपल की भी बात हो रही है, बट द क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट द all that. Okay, what they can do, what is the expression about, what will be the answer? I give you 3 seconds. Come to the answer. The expression it is all they can do in the first sentence conveys the idea of all that doctors can manage to do. इतना ही वो कर सकते हैं, इससे ज्यादा उनसे हम एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते. Next, same passage, next question. The author compares medical profession with various other occupations in order to show that the author compares. Now there is a comparison being done. Compares medical profession with various other occupations in order to show that one, doctors are much more busy than people in other occupations. Doctors busy हैं, ठीक है, that is partly correct. Doctors busy हैं, that is partly correct. But is it the final answer? Let us check. डॉक्टर्स हैव टू रीड अ ग्रेट डील मोर देन पीपल इन अदर ऑक्यूपेशंस. क्या ऐसा कहीं है कि डॉक्टर्स हैव टू रीड अ ग्रेट डील मोर? उनको भी पढ़ना है, दूसरे ऑक्यूपेशंस में भी जो लोग हैं उन्हें भी पढ़ना है. द स्टडी ऑफ फिलोसफी इज पर्टिकुलरली इंपॉर्टेंट टू डॉक्टर्स. क्या ये है, मेंशन है? ये देखिए कहाँ पे आंसर आ रहा है. स्टडी ऑफ फिलोसफी हैव एनी टाइम, उनके पास भी कम ही टाइम है. देखिए, few doctors have any time means they have very less time. Next, people in their occupations have no more time to study philosophy than doctors have. So they are at the same page. The people in other occupations as well as the people in medical means field में is the doctors, उनके पास भी same ही है. Doctors के पास कोई ज्यादा time नहीं है. They are also awfully busy. So what will be the answer? The option will be, what will be the correct option? Yes, option D is the correct answer. People in their occupations have no more time to study philosophy than doctors have. So you see, with your approach to solving the passage and the related questions and their answers, you are able to come to the correct answer. Now, this is another passage. Now see, look at the length of the passage. This is quite long. This needs reading in detail. So you have to be prepared for such passages which are detailed. Okay. So pay attention. Again, I will give you 2 minutes time just now. Later on, you can pause the video, go back to it again, and then try solving, right? Let's read together. By this time, I'm sure that you have developed the art of reading, how the reading is to be done, how to take pauses, pay attention to the punctuation marks. Okay, when you start a new sentence means after the full stop the new sentence starts and the new topic generally gives you a new idea. So paying attention to all these intricacies of language, आप बहुत अच्छे तरीके से पैसेज को पढ़ पाएंगे. पूरे ध्यान से मनोयोग से पढ़िए. I'll be reading along with you. Okay, now I'll also take you to the questions as I already promised. This is the same passage which you have read, and you can have a glimpse of the questions also, right? The reformer must know that what moves people is the authentic life. द रिफॉर्मर किसके बारे में बात हो रही है? रिफॉर्मर, जो समाज को विचारक जो होते हैं, जो सुधारक होते हैं, जो उसे बदलने की कोशिश करते हैं, रिफॉर्म करते हैं, चेंज करते हैं. द रिफॉर्मर मस्ट नो दैट व्हाट मूव्स पीपल मतलब जो उनको असर करता है, जो उन्हें प्रभावित करता है, लोगों को, इज द ऑथेंटिक लाइफ, नॉट mere writing. Authentic, what is authentic? Sacha, opposite of artificial. Okay, authentic. The newspaper and journals that Tilak, किनके बारे में बात हो रही है? बाल गंगाधर तिलक, लोकमान्य तिलक, and other reformers ran, the books they wrote sold little, but look at the transition word, इस पे ध्यान दीजिए. But had enormous effect. What is enormous? Enormous is huge, बहुत बड़ा, बहुत सारा effect. Okay, their writing was known to reflect and be just an extension of their exemplary lives. एक्सटेंशन, विस्तार, उनकी खुद की जो एग्जेम्पलरी लाइफ से, एग्जेम्पलरी अनुकरणीय, जिसे हम अपनी लाइफ में भी उन चीजों को, उन एस्पेक्ट्स को उतारे, अनुकरणीय, ठीक है, एक्सटेंशन ऑफ देयर एग्जेम्पलरी लाइव्स. इट वाज द ऑथेंटिसिटी ऑफ देयर लाइव्स व्हिच लेंट वेट टू देयर मैसेज, टू देयर एग्जाम्पल. लेंट मतलब यहाँ पर देना. लेंट इज द पास्ट टेंस ऑफ लेंट. इट हियर इट मीन्स देना. Okay, which lent weight to their message, to their example. All knew that their lives were an integral whole. Their lives, the lives of the reformers, were an integral whole. They were not moral in public life and lack in private, not vice versa. है ना? They were talking on the basis, they were giving speeches, or their thoughts were being inculcated on the basis of their own lives. Okay, they were not full of pious thoughts and sacred resolutions within the walls of a temple. Within the walls of a temple, ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ पवित्र जगहों पर ही उनके पवित्र विचार थे, अदरवाइज भी उनके विचार बड़े ऊंचे, नोबल और पवित्र थे. So far are we clear? Next, a writer who is merely entertaining his readers. Merely, वो राइटर जो केवल अपने दर्शकों को, अपने पढ़ने वालों को सिर्फ क्या कर रहे हैं? एंटरटेन कर रहे हैं. Even one who is merely informing them, सिर्फ इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहे हैं, can do what he wants with the rest of his life. ठीक है, दिस इज द ऑथर्स ओन व्यू. ये ऑथर का, पैसेज लिखने वाले ऑथर का अपना ये नजरिया है. अंडरस्टैंड द पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ द ऑथर. ये बहुत जरूरी है. ऑथर का पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू समझना बड़ा जरूरी है. But the writer who sets out, now there is again a change, है ना? अब किसके बारे में बात हो रही है? देखिए, from here you can understand some important point is going to come up. But the writer who sets out to use his pen to reform public life, reform public life, लोगों की जिंदगी को बदलने के लिए जो अपनी लेखनी का प्रयोग करता है, cannot afford such dualities. Dualities मतलब दो तरीके के views, है ना? He has to maintain one view. ठीक है? Here is the testimony of one great man. Testimony is proof, evidence of one great man about the influence of another, लोकमान्य तिलक. ठीक है, सो हम टॉपिक पर अब जाकर आए हैं, राइट? सो द राइटर इज टॉकिंग अबाउट लोकमान्य तिलक एंड ही इज मेकिंग some more observations about the reformers and what they write, ठीक है, with special reference to बाल गंगाधर तिलक. I believe that an editor who, अब देखो जो कोट्स में आते हैं, कोटेशन मार्क्स है ना, ये दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट, ये कोटेशन मार्क्स में आ गए हैं, ये बड़ा हमें ध्यान देना है. ठीक है, I believe that an editor who has anything worth saying and who commands a clientele मतलब उनके ग्राहक, उनके जो लोग, पढ़ने वाले लोग हैं, commands a clientele cannot easily be hush silent, चुप कराना आसान नहीं है. He delivers his finished message as soon as he is put under duress. What is duress? मतलब टेंशन वाली कंडीशन, स्ट्रेस वाली कंडीशन, फोर्सिबली कुछ काम कराना किसी से, दैट इज कॉल्ड ड्यूरेस. दिस इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट वर्ड. पे अटेंशन टू वोकेबलरी ऑल्सो. Tilak spoke more eloquently from the Mandalay fortress, then through columns of the printed Kesari. Now, if you have read about the freedom fight, freedom struggle, आपको पहले से ही कुछ information होगी. I'm not asking you to mingle it with this, but आपको पता होगा केसरी was the newspaper which was published by लोकमान्य तिलक. And what is this? Mandalay fortress. Fortress मतलब किला. This was a city, Mandalay city in Myanmar, where he was imprisoned. उनको 5 साल या 7 साल के लिए वहां जेल में रखा गया था. वहां से भी उन्होंने अपने मैसेजेस को आगे बढ़ाया था. ठीक है. So what the author is trying to say, देखिए, तिलक spoke more eloquently. Eloquently मतलब एक होता है ना तेजपूर्ण तेजस्वी वक्ता, है ना, तेजस्वी वक्ता, who speaks brilliantly, who commands the, who captures the heart of the audience. So Tilak spoke more eloquently from the Mandalay fortress than through columns of the printed Kesari. ये बहुत important है, इस पे ध्यान दीजिए. Next, his influence was multiplied thousandfold. कई गुना, थाउजेंड फोल्ड उनका इन्फ्लुएंस कई गुना बढ़ गया बाय हिज imprisonment and his speech, and his pen had acquired much greater power. पेन, उनकी लेखनी में बड़ी शक्ति आ गई थी after he was discharged than before his imprisonment. है ना. ठीक है. अब ये imprisonment की भी बात आ गई. You have paid attention. ये लिंक हो गया मेंडेले के साथ में. By his death, we have been editing his paper without pen and speech through the sacred resolution of the people to realize his life's dream. He could possibly have done more if he were today in flesh preaching his view. Flesh. Today in flesh मतलब अगर वो जीवित रहते तो, है ना. ऑफ कोर्स उनके विचार हमेशा जीवित हैं, लेकिन अगर वो खुद होते तो उनके व्यूज जो प्रीच करते, जो लोगों को शिक्षा देते, उसका बड़ा असर होता. Critics like me would perhaps be still finding fault in the expression of this or that. है ना. Critics. Now the author says that he is a critic. Critic आलोचक. आलोचक का काम ही है ये to find fault. ये ठीक नहीं हुआ, वो सही नहीं था. Okay. So he says critics like me would perhaps be still finding fault in the expression of this or that. Today his message rules millions of hearts. His message, किनका message? Yes, Lokmanya Tilak. Millions of hearts which are determined to raise permanent living memorial by the fulfillment of his ambition in their lives. Memorial. Look at this word. What is a memorial? स्मारक, है ना. We raise a memorial. हम एक स्मारक बनाते हैं. किनकी मेमोरी में? जो भी हमारे महान लोग हुए हैं. In the memory of great men to keep their ideals afloat. Okay. So now this is a passage. There are 3 to 4 paragraphs, as you have already seen. There can be different lengths of passages, as I already said. So we must be prepared. But we must read the passage in such a way that the main idea becomes clear. And then we can judge through the questions whether we have understood it correctly or not. So let's take up the first question. Complete the following sentence. This is like a fill in the blank. This is to be completed. Tilak's messages were most effective. Tilak's messages were most effective when he delivered them through editorials. First option. After his death. Third option. Before his imprisonment. Next. When delivered in speeches. So where can you get this? Where do you get this? Tilak's messages were more effective. कहाँ से पता चलेगा? You must have paid attention. ये देखिए, look at this. Tilak spoke more eloquently from the Mandalay fortress than through the columns of the printed cases. This is the clue. This is the clue for our answer. So what is the answer? Option A, B, C or D. Option D is the right answer when delivered in speeches, right? So this will be the correct option. Let's take the next question, question number 8. The passage is again in front of you for your easy referral and understanding. Which of the following is a result of Lokmanya Tilak's exemplary life? Exemplary जिसका अनुकरण किया जा सके. Option 1. The newspapers edited by him did not incur monetary loss. Incur मतलब होना है ना, loss उनको हुआ, monetary loss नहीं हुआ उनको. The first option says this. इसके बारे में कोई बात की गई है पैसेज में कि जो न्यूज़पेपर्स उन्होंने पब्लिश किए थे वो उससे उन्होंने पैसा कमाया या उससे उन्हें नुकसान हुआ? This is out of focus. He was put in jail at Mandalay. He was put in jail at Mandalay. ये तो ठीक है. It was correct. ये तो है. But kya is the result? This will be the result of Lokmanya Tilak's exemplary life, about his ideals, about his noble principles. No. People resolved to fulfill his life's dreams. Kya logon ne ठान लिया resolve? Did they decide that his life's dreams, his ideals are to be realized in practice? क्या वो हमें उनको आकार देना है, उनको मूर्त स्वरूप देना है जिंदगी में? The books written by him are useful. ये अपनी जगह है. So if you take from the passage, you come to which option? Option C. People resolved to fulfill his life's dreams. They were so much impacted by his views. Next question. Let's see the next question. The passage is again in front of you. Which of the following is a general tendency of critics according to the passage? अभी हमने किया था. Let's see, before looking at the options, let's see इसका आंसर हमें पैसेज के किस पैराग्राफ में से मिलना चाहिए if we have paid attention to this. Look at the last paragraph. He could possibly have done more if he were today in flesh preaching his view. ये देखिए, critics like me would perhaps be still finding fault in the expression of this or that. So what is the duty of critics? What is their job? To find faults. Nitpicking, जिसको कहते हैं ना, mean make निकालना. Now look at the options. To find fault with one or the other expression of a writer. To praise only those writers who they like. Praise मतलब प्रशंसा करना. To condemn one and all the reformers' writers. Condemn is to look down upon. नीची निगाह से देखना. Condemn is to look down upon. To justify their criticism. उनके criticism को justify करने के लिए what is the correct option? ये भी नहीं है, ठीक है, ये भी नहीं है कहीं पर भी, ये है लेकिन कुछ हद तक है. What is the correct option? Option C. To condemn one and all the reformer writers. सभी को condemn करना, सभी को नीची निगाह से देखना. Because this is the author's point of view which has been expressed here in the passage. Next question. The question number, the question part, the part of this, I mean, which has to be done in the context of the passage. Of course, the next question, in the context of the passage, a reformer becomes effective if he is a journalist with an objective viewpoint. He is a journalist, patrakar, with an objective viewpoint. He is an author with an excellent style of writing. He is a person with consistency in his writing and lifestyle. Consistency. What is consistency? लगातार हम अपनी क्वालिटी को जब मेंटेन करते हैं, that is called consistency. है ना? ऐसा नहीं कि saying something else and doing something else, that is not called consistency. What is consistency? Where you know जो हम कह रहे हैं. You might have heard this ना, हाथी के दांत खाने के और दिखाने के और, है ना? तो ऐसा तो नहीं है ना? With people like Lokmanya Tilak, ऐसा तो नहीं है. You know, these are highly noble people who had great regard for humanity and their ideals. They have upheld the ideals of humanity. Come what may, ठीक है? So he is a person with consistency in his writing and lifestyle. जो उनकी lifestyle है और जो उनकी writing है, they reflect the same thought. ठीक है? Are we coming? I'm trying to give you a hint also, students. Next, he is a good critic of social practices. इसकी बात नहीं आई है कहीं पर भी पैसेज में, ये कोई बात नहीं आई है. He is a journalist. It is not necessary that he be a journalist. हर ऐसा नहीं है कि लिखते वही है जो जर्नलिस्ट होते हैं. There are other people also who write. ठीक है? ही इज एन ऑथर विद एन एक्सीलेंट स्टाइल ऑफ राइटिंग. अगेन इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी कि जो अच्छी स्टाइल में लिखते हैं सिर्फ उन्हीं की ही बात को माना जाता है. सो व्हाट शुड बी द करेक्ट आंसर? ही इज अ पर्सन विद कंसिस्टेंसी इन हिज राइटिंग एंड हिज लाइफस्टाइल. जो कहते हैं वॉट एवर ही प्रीचेस दैट ही डज, है ना, इन रियलिटी. सो बाल गंगाधर तिलक, लोकमान्य तिलक was one of those. Next question now. So the passage is in front of you once again. You can go back to it to find the correct answer. Let's read the question. Which of the following types of writers can be moral in their personal life and lack in public life? They are moral in their personal life, but they lack in public life. Those who want to reform people, जो लोगों में change लाना चाहते हैं. Those who want to entertain people, जो सिर्फ लोगों का मनोरंजन करना चाहते हैं, which is something very superficial. Those who lead an authentic life, authentic, सच्ची, okay, बनावटी नहीं, not झूठा. Those whose writing is an extension of their exemplary lives. What is extension? विस्तार, है ना, जो हम कह रहे हैं उसी को ही आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं. So I step aside and you find out the correct answer and let me know within 2 seconds what will be the answer. Yes, good evening Nikita and good evening Gaurav. Thank you. Good evening Sonam. Thank you. Sonali. Good evening dear. Cryptid X5. Good evening. What should be the correct answer? Yes. Which of the following types of writers can be moral in their personal life and lack in public life? Those whose writing is an extension of their exemplary lives. सबको मालूम है इनकी कथनी और करनी में कोई अंतर नहीं है. So what they preach, they practice, right? So what is you are, slowly you are trying to come to the gist of the passage also. Okay. So develop this skill of finding out the summary of the given passage. Last question of this passage. In the context of the passage, which of the following statements about Tilak and the reformers is true? Which of the following statements is true about Tilak and the reformers? They were moral in private life but lack in public life. Their influence on people was negligible. What is negligible? Coming in small measures, है? Small measures, बहुत ही कम, negligible, जिसको neglect किया जा सके, न के बराबर. Negligible is न के बराबर. Very few people used to read the newspapers even from inside the jail. They were allowed to edit their newspapers even from inside the jail. This type of message has not been conveyed. इस type की कोई बात नहीं आई है. I step aside and you give me the answer within 2 seconds. Okay. Pay attention what is written. Look at the question. In the context of the passage. According to the passage, we have to answer. Okay, we don't have to bring any added information or personal, inputs to any of the passages while answering the questions. Pay attention. We have to always pay attention to the view of the author and the passage, what it is trying to tell us. Okay, so I will repeat this for the sake of understanding and clarity. In the context of the passage, which one of the following statements about Tilak and the reformers is true? For this, I will take you to the first paragraph. If you have not read it already with in detail, okay, look at the detail reading. ये देखो, it was an authenticity of their lives which lent weight to their message, to their example. All knew that their lives were an integral whole. They were not moral in public life and lack in private. है ना? Look at the answer. So what answer do you get? Once again, see the options. They were moral in public life, but they were moral in private life, but lack in public life. According to the context of the passage, the first statement, that is option number A, will be the correct answer. This is the correct option according to the passage, in the context of the passage. So, dear students, effort is what is to be made by any student. Effort made in the right direction will always bear fruit. I'm able to think of a beautiful saying. It comes to my mind. करत करत अभ्यास के जड़मति होत सुजान. I repeat, करत करत अभ्यास के जड़मति होत सुजान, रसरी आवत जात ही सिल पर परत निशान. क्या मतलब है? जितनी हम प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, जितना हम इन्वॉल्व होंगे, जितने हम डेडिकेटेड होंगे अपने गोल के प्रति, अपने लक्ष्य के प्रति, उतना ही हमें सक्सेस मिलने के चांसेस बढ़ जाते हैं, है ना? जस्ट वी टेक आउट a proper time slot of our day to practice reading, to prepare our own set of vocabulary, okay, and to make notes. Then we will be able to ace all such questions, because we will be able to understand, we will be able to accumulate a huge vocabulary. एक बहुत बड़ी हमारी रेpertoire तैयार हो जाएगी. जैसे एक फाइटर के हाथ में आर्मर होता है ना? आर्मर होता था ना पहले जमाने में. वैसे ही स्टूडेंट का आर्मर क्या है? लैंग्वेज के लिए वर्ड्स. ओके, एंड इन द नेक्स्ट coming sessions, the forthcoming sessions, we'll be taking all the other aspects of language section in detail, along with some more reading comprehensions. So, my sincere advice to you is keep learning, keep growing, and more power to you. Bye bye.